Hi Year 5, we're back again with the Jamie Drake equation, and this will be chapter 15. On the home screen of my phone, the golden spiral is still frozen mid-spin, and I'm starting to wonder if Buzz will ever speak again. I've got so many questions racing around my head, but the one I really want to know the answer to is one that is impossible to ask. The only question that might explain why my family is falling apart. I can barely even whisper this to myself as I sit here alone in the darkness of my room. Why doesn't Dad love us anymore? And as if in answer to my question, the phone suddenly vibrates. Who is Dad? I stare at the screen in total astonishment. The golden spiral is spinning again as a metallic voice echoes from the speaker. Professor Forster said this was impossible. Buzz is back and it's talking to me. I shake my head trying to make sense of how this can be happening as the thoughts tumble and whirl. Who is Dad? Buzz repeats again, the robotic voice sounding softer, almost human now. I take a deep breath. If this really is an alien civilization on the other end of the line, I've got to make sure I get the right answer. The fate of the human race could depend on what I say. It can mean the difference between invasion and an invitation to join the Galactic Federation. With a trembling finger, I tap on the phone screen to bring up my camera and then flick through the gallery of pictures until I find the one I'm looking for. This is my family, I tell Buzz. Mum and Dad, Charlie and me. In the picture, Dad is standing with one arm around Mum, smiles beaming from both their faces as a fairy tale castle sparkles with light behind them. I'm holding Dad's other hand, looking up at the camera with a huge grin as Mum cradles baby Charlotte in her arms. This photo was taken at Disney World in Florida on Dad's day off from his training on the Light Swarm launch simulator at the Kennedy Space Center. It's my favourite picture of us all together. Without me touching it, the photo suddenly zooms until Dad's face fills the screen. I can see every detail of his smile, his sunny features unlined with worry. He looks so happy, just like the rest of us. I search his eyes for any trace of doubt, looking for a sign that could explain what's gone wrong, but I can't see a thing. Where is your dad? Buzz asks. Outside the bedroom window, the sky is ink black with a blanket of stars scattered across it. I hold the phone up to the open window. He's up there, I say sadly, scanning the sky for any sign of the International Space Station. For a second, the low hum of the phone's vibration seems to quieten, as if Buzz is looking out from the camera lens. Then I hear the soft tone of its voice again. This is where we come from too. As I hold the phone up, I see a new picture appear on the screen, pale pinpricks of light studding the sky above Beacon Hill. I recognise the shapes of the different constellations Dad showed me when we stargazed together on nights like this. Pisces and Pegasus, Cygnus the Swan, Aquila the Eagle with the bright star of Altair shining from its head. When Dad first taught me how to look at the stars, I could never quite see the shapes of the animals and people that gave the constellations their names. We'd spend hours tracing their shapes in the sky, while Dad told me crazy stories about Greek myths and gods. But now as I look at the archer with his bow drawn low over the horizon, these shapes Dad showed me are all I can see. From the stars. As I stare at my mobile, the shapes of these constellations suddenly shatter into pieces. I watch amazed as the stars begin racing towards the screen, pinpricks of pure light erupting into brilliant blue flares and then fading to a red glow at the edge of the screen, again and again and again. It's like some out-of-control spaceship is taking me on a tour of the galaxy, travelling at the speed of light. I see clouds of dust and gas scattering into spirals and swirls as the emptiness of space surrounds me. We've travelled so very far. In the centre of the screen, I see a single pinprick of light grow larger before spinning into twin stars, these bright white sparks transformed into fiery spheres. In the shadow of the larger star, I see the shape of a planet in orbit, a blue-green world that looks almost like Earth. This is where you come from, I murmur, watching hypnotised as the blue-green planet fills the screen. As the camera swoops, I can't tear my gaze away from the bizarre alien landscape that's unfolding in front of me. So strange, yet strangely familiar too. Twin suns shine in the bright purple sky above a vast forest filled with giant plants and ferns. Black flowers blossom in every direction, and rising above these, I can see huge golden spirals shimmering like trapped sunlight. These unearthly skyscrapers are exactly the same as the ones I drew in class today, but instead of pastel colours, they now glisten in high definition. This impossible picture, these imaginary alien cities spiralling into the sky, it's all real. Home. The soft vibration of Buzz's voice echoes inside my head. As the camera twists, the screen seems to blur as it circles round this enormous alien structure. It looks as if it's made of liquid metal, its golden surface pulsing as a swarm of creatures rise up into the sky. The sound of their beating wings buzzes from the phone as behind them on the screen I watch the sun being pulled apart by an invisible hand. The picture slowly fades to blackness as the phone stops vibrating. I jab my finger against the screen, not wanting this weird science fiction film to end. It's like my mobile phone has suddenly got to $1 billion special effects budget and I can't wait to find out what happens next. But the only thing that appears in the golden spiral on my home screen, the icon now spinning soundlessly. Was that you, I ask? The blurry image of those alien creatures frozen in my mind. I should feel scared, but somehow I know that Buzz doesn't mean me any harm. We are the Hive. The golden spiral pulses in time with the sound of Buzz's voice. The robotic tone that I heard when Buzz first started speaking has completely disappeared now. I can't tell whether I'm speaking to a man or a woman. But does that even mean anything when you're talking to an alien? If you're an alien, I ask, trying to make sense of the impossible, how do you even understand English? The phone begins to vibrate in my hand, jumping like a flea with every buzz. I see countless texts scrolling across the screen, almost too fast to read. It looks like every text I've ever sent or received, all scrolling by in the blink of an eye. A babble of voicemail messages erupt from the speaker, the sound of these blurring into a single buzzing whine. We are the Hive, Buzz replies. We learn. I stare at my phone, my head ready to explode. But before I can ask another question, my bedroom door starts to open and I quickly shove my buzzing mobile under the pillow. What are you looking at? Charlie asks as she peers around the door. Is it rude? No, I say, my face flushing red all the same. I switch my bedside lamp, Charlie taking this as a green light to shuffle into the room. What are you doing out of bed anyway? You were supposed to be asleep ages ago. Charlie's wearing her Peppa Pig pyjamas, and as she climbs into the bed next to me, I can tell that she's been crying. What's the matter, I ask, putting my arm around Charlie's shoulder as she hugs her favourite teddy close to her chest. Dad gave this to Charlie, but just before he took off on the International Space Station. The cuddly bear is dressed in a bright silver spacesuit, and Dad named it Teddy Gagarin, but Charlie just calls it Teddy Gaga now. Are you okay? I just had a bad dream, Charlie replies with a snuffle, wiping her nose with the bear's furry paw. I dreamt the aliens stole Daddy's spaceship and he couldn't find his way home. She looks up at me, her cheeks still blotchy and red. I want Daddy, she sobs, breaking into tears again. I want him home now. From upstairs I can hear the sound of Mum moving things around in her attic studio. Usually this would be my cue to shout upstairs and let Mum come deal with Charlie. But after our argument, I don't think that's a good idea. I need to try something else to distract her. Hey, I say, lifting Teddy Gagarin's paw to wipe Charlie's tears away. Do you think Teddy Gaga wouldn't let any aliens steal Dad's spaceship? No, Charlie sniffs. No, I agree. And you know what he'd do if they tried? He'd duff them up, just like this. Waggling his arms, I show how Teddy Gagarin would throw some furry kung fu moves to fight off the aliens. Doof, doof, doof. Charlie giggles. So you don't need to worry about Dad getting lost in space. He'll be back home next week to tell you and Teddy all about his adventures. I get up from the bed, reaching my hands up to Charlie before lifting her down. Come on, I say, let's get you back to bed before Teddy Gaga goes kung fu crazy. Charlie holds my hands, I lead her across the landing back to her bedroom. Through a crack in the curtains, the moon throws soft shadows over her Winnie the Pooh wallpaper. As she climbs into bed, I can see the fat yellow bear floating through the sky above her head. A bit like Dad, really, although the ISS has solar panels instead of blue balloon like Winnie the Pooh. Deep inside, I feel the same surge of emotion that fueled Charlie's tears. I wish Dad was home too, but if he and Mum are really splitting up, I don't know how long he'll stay for. With her head on her pillow, Charlie looks up at me with her big brown eyes. Aliens aren't real, are they, Jamie? She says, her nightmare now fading in the glow from her Peppa Pig nightlight. No, I lie as I tuck her in under the covers. You don't need to worry about aliens. So that's the end of chapter 15. Bye.
Okay, happy Thursday, Year 5. I've got another video for you today. This is a music video. Mrs. Joshua sent me this link and I thought I'd share it with you. It's by a band called Public Service Broadcasting and they made a whole album about space travel. There's this really good song called Go, and in that you can see the musicians playing, but there's also links to the space flight control and links to the moon landing. So it's a really good video that I just thought you'd enjoy. Listen to the music and let me know what you think. So I hope you enjoyed listening to that music on that video. I thought it was very inspiring. So today, there's a couple of jobs to do. First thing is, can you edit your work? So over the last 3 days, you've written your mini story, I would say, with your takeoff, flying through space, and your landing. So first of all, I want you to read through that as one whole piece and see if there's anything that needs editing, punctuation, spelling, grammar, any extra exciting words and atmosphere that you can add. Now that you've got them all together, I want you to read them as one piece. So after you've edited your work, in your pack you have this reading comprehension called The First Man on the Moon. So I want you to read through this. I think there's 2 pages and then there's 2 pages of questions. We'll go through the answers on Zoom later, so can you make sure you bring your answers? So reading comprehension, it's in your pack, First Man on the Moon, and there's 2 question sheets.